What do you do when your questions have no answers or no good answers? When no answers bring comfort? What about when there is more than one answer, leaving you unsure which to believe? Hello, my name is Christine Jurisic, and this is a monthly retreat reflection. Embrace your questions. So when you have these questions, start by sitting with them. Let them linger. Give them space to breathe. Think of them as seeds being planted in your heart. Seed questions you are watering and feeding with time and prayer so they can grow into bigger questions. The kind of questions that will grow you. There are times when sitting with questions is hard. I can feel sad and lost in them. As I think about all the victims of war, violence, natural disasters around the world, my questions emerge with raw honesty. How can there be such suffering in the world? Who is God? Where is God? When I experience an unexpected kindness or see growth in myself or others, the questions are asked with a deep sense of gratitude. Letting my questions simmer feels humbling during these times. How big and merciful is this God of love and forgiveness? When I see the interconnectivity of every living plant and creature on earth, my questions are asked with awe and wonder. Watching my questions grow can feel energizing during these times. Are there any limits to a creating God that continues to inspire me? When I talk about sitting with your questions, letting them simmer, watching them grow, I'm inviting you to place them in God's hands. Asking God to hold your questions is one way to release anxiety, fear, and the need for quick solutions. Let the questions settle into your soul. Allow them to take root in a way that leads to deeper, wider, and fuller questions. Watch them dangle in the air until they become more creative, daring, and bolder questions, such as, how much of God's self is being revealed through me? Am I courageous enough to live into the answers? How big, how merciful, how generous is God? And if I begin to confront these questions, what does that mean for me and my need to forgive and reach out and serve? When my questions feel too big, confusing, or dark to handle, I find comfort in a sort of surrendering to the mystery of life and the mystery of Christian life. I have come to my own beliefs and narratives that serve as a container for my questions. At this moment in my life, you have, based on your thoughts, your lived experience, and your values, your own mantra or belief system to serve as the container for your questions. What do you know to be true no matter what? What is at the center of your faith? What one belief can you rely on in this one present moment? These are questions to help you create the container to hold your questions, or they may be the beginning of your journey of questioning. If I have left you feeling more confused, you may find comfort in a prayer practice of placing your questions in Jesus' questions. In the Gospel of Mark, there are more than 100 questions. It is also a gospel that talks considerably about suffering. It was estimated to have been written between 65 and 69 CE to provide comfort and strength to those left in the aftermath of brutal and barbaric Christian persecutions. Pray with some of Jesus' questions from the Gospel of Mark. Here are some of them. What do you want me to do for you? In 10:36 and 51. Why are you afraid? Have you still no faith? In chapter 4:40. Who do you say I am? In chapter 8, verse 29. What were you arguing about on the way? In chapter 9, verse 33. My God, why have you forsaken me? In chapter 15, verse 34. Focus on one that resonates with one of your questions. Let it sit alongside Jesus' question. Raise your hands up in surrender. Hold the two together in prayer. Inhale the mystery. Exhale the need to find an answer. Continue to breathe in and out. Jesus' deep, confronting questions cut to the heart of any question you could ever have about your life, your faith, and your God. Praying through your questions while picturing them in Jesus' questions can place your story in the broader Christian story of suffering, death, and resurrection. You are not alone. You can walk this journey because Jesus has walked it. Jesus is walking it with you. Everything, including the greatest mysteries of life, is part of our Christian story. Since this is a reflection encouraging questions, I will end with a question from the article Question Marks and Turning Points Following the Gospel of Mark to Surprising Places by Catherine Vitalis Hoffman and Mark Vitalis Hoffman, which inspired my writing this month. This is their question. Could it be that we could recognize God as one who shepherds us with questions, leading us along with a question mark-shaped shepherd's crook? May your journey of questions be a fruitful one. I hope you will click the subscribe button for more monthly reflections and visit us at retreatreflectrenew.org, where you can read more reflections, find out how to share them in our sacred circles on Zoom, and join us for an online or in-person retreat. Retreat, Reflect, Renew, a Christ-centered retreat ministry dedicated to creating sacred space for people to grow spiritually and in community.